Uncle Mark here, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, big welcome to you too. It's working on my hot water tank. No issues with it right now. In the area that we live, if you get 4, 5, maybe 6 years out of them, you're doing good. It has something to do with our water, I guess. But a little known fact is there's an anode. It's a rod that's, I don't know, 4 feet long or something like that's in there. That, and this is, we're talking electric hot water tank. It does a little chemical reaction on its own so that it rots away instead of your tank. Of course, if you wait too long and the rod is completely missing now, then the tank starts to rot or rust. So the idea is if you could replace that before the tank starts rusting, if you kept doing that, eventually, well, in theory, I guess the tank would never rust. You might have some other troubles, but the tank should last possibly forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it. I've done this before. Again, this is an electric hot water tank, and so far we've got about 12 years out of it, I think, and counting. So if we can get a few more years out of it. The big thing is not only the expense of the tank, but trying to switch it over, and the mess of the water and draining and everything else, and you never get all the water out. And if it's leaking, it's probably going to leak on everything. If you have carpet going downstairs, not worth the hassle. So I'll show you what I did, and maybe you'll want to try it. Can't hurt. Enjoy the video. So the first thing that I'm going to do is shut off my hot water tank electrics, and then shut off the water going to either the house, I guess. This is a quicker shut off I had put in here. It's a ball valve, that's nice. But I don't have to do that because I actually have a diversion here. And here's where we're going to get the hot water to come out. It's an overflow. So what I can do here is I can just divert this so the water will not go into the tank, any more water, but I'll still have water in the house. These are really nice to have if you can get them installed. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but it's going to divert just away from the tank, and these stop the way they're hooked up there. And that's where the anode is. Well, let's take a look at that on the top of the tank. Pop this off. If I can get in there. Just a plastic piece in here. Now, normally this is full of hard styrofoam. I've been in here before, so I've chipped it away. But if you look in there, if you chip away, you'll see there's the anode hex nut on top. And you'll see it's, see to the top here where it says notice? Just above that, it's actually in the metal there. It says anode, A-N-O-D-E. That shows you where it is. Cool. Anyway, let's take a look and take it out. Now, of course, the hot water's been cooling off for quite some time. I did run the hot water upstairs, that tap, just because I don't want it to scald me. So I have to be careful, because if this I hadn't let it cool down, this stuff would be coming out as steam pretty much. So if I just release a little bit of the pressure there, water should just start coming out into my little bowl. I'm just going to let a little bit at a time there. Just want enough water out so that when we put the new anode in, it doesn't overflow on the top of the tank. So I'll probably do this a couple times. I'm not really sure how much I'm going to have to let out. So I'll shut that back off. So that's on, so when you flip it back down, whichever way that's off, you'll be able to tell if you're trying to do the same thing. Now there should be enough water out that I can undo the top of this here, and it shouldn't leak. So I've got my socket on there. I'm just using a little breaker bar. Now, if you've never taken this off before, I don't know, if it's quite old, you might not even get it out. It was hard for me to turn it the first time. But since it's been out a couple years ago, it came out pretty easy. Yeah. And oh, there's not much left of this. Look at this. It's just got the core in the middle. Well, I've had it where there's nothing left. I should have done it a little earlier. Give you a comparison. Old one with just the core and what the new one looks like. These, it's supposed to be, you can see the core in the middle of this. That purple thing. So with the two metals together, lad, they start rusting. They're dissimilar metals instead of your tank rusting. That's the whole purpose of this sacrificial anode, is what it's called. If I keep replacing them soon enough, I'm going to let a little more water out. It should save the tank, and so far it has. At least in our area, this tank is older than 6 years, and a lot of people around here don't get more than maybe 4 years out of it, or it just gets over the 6 years and they have to buy a new one and they don't get any kind of warranty out of it. So I'm letting a little more water out. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to go dump it. And come back. A little more water in it. Again, I'm just trying to make enough clearance in the top of the tank that when I put the new anode in, because there's more, it's bigger than the old one was, just because the old one's rusted away. It's not really the word rusted, but it's disintegrated. When I put the new one in, there would be too much water in the tank that it would want to flow at the top. I don't want that. It's going to make a mess. We'll shut this off again and go dump this again. Like I say, I made sure that the water wasn't too hot. I let it cool down a little bit. Actually ran the tap upstairs a couple times there, just then before I started this procedure, just to let cold water go into the tank before I, diverted. Plus the tank's been off for a while, so water's lukewarm. Let's hope some more. Hopefully it's going to be enough. We look at the two different ones. So I'm going to try and put this one in, but I'm going to put some Teflon tape on here first. Maybe a little tricky figuring out which way it goes on there. You have to figure out which way it's going to turn, and turn it that way as you're putting the tape on. If you put it on backwards when you try and thread it in, the tape's going to want to come off. So that's why I'm threading it this way. That's the way it's going to go in to tighten. Let me give it a couple rounds here. It's just going to help with so it doesn't leak, just in case it does. That's the whole purpose of this stuff. There you go. So should be good. So you can see if you had to turn it the wrong way, this is the right way. It's not going to come off. But if you went backwards, if you had the tape on the wrong way, see how it would just kind of want to undo it? That wouldn't be good. Hopefully that makes some sense. Anyway, I'm going to install it. And you can see it's kind of a long one. Some of them, this is a solid one. I've got room. Some of them come in like almost, it's not really 3 pieces, but they're bendable. So, yeah, I did okay. Not, just had enough water out of there. Where's my sockets? And I can turn that baby in there. It looks like it's a 27 millimeter is what it is. I actually was smart enough to write it on the top of the tank from last time. Plus, I actually wrote down how tight to make it. And I didn't over tighten it, but I didn't under tighten it. So I'm going to tighten it to 35 foot-pounds once I get my torque wrench out. Imagine if you just held it the way I'm holding it here with one hand. Probably as tight as you could make it with one hand. Would not be over tightening it, because you're not going to have enough pull the way I'm holding it there. So if you had a short, I wouldn't hold it on the end of the arm. If you're even using like a shorter ratchet and held it in the middle, you would not over tighten it. As I prove here, because I tried to tighten it as tight as I could, and I still didn't make the 35 foot-pounds, so I'm going to do now. This way I just don't strip it by over tightening it. Seems like a lot. I don't know really what the proper torque is supposed to be on this, but that's what I did the last couple times. Didn't hurt it. Do this time too. You may want to consult a plumber on that. They probably just stick it in there and put it as tight as they want. I want it to be able to come out again too. I don't want it leaking, but I want it to come out. And another, whatever it's going to be, 22 months or something for my area. Anyway, it seems to be that's about as long as it lasts. Well, I'm just about done. Wife's already saying, I want some hot water, and I'm going to put this back on. I should really have kept that off for a little while and checked it, which I did a little later on. Woke up in the middle of the night, I hope that's not leaking. And then, you know, either turn your water back on, however you did it. I have these bypasses, so water is on. I'm just going to turn it back onto the tank. Then I'm going to go to another sink and turn my hot water on, whichever side your hot water is. Run that hot water tap just then to get the air out. It may gurgle, it may bubble. Do maybe a couple different sinks there just to make sure. And then we'll have to turn the breaker back on. So then it starts heating. And that should be good. Do a couple double checks here just to make sure everything's okay. And that's a good looking guy here. Alright, it seems all fine. Make sure you put all your tools away. And then I'm going to write it on here. Because actually, I recorded this in January. I was supposed to have done it in November. So I think it's going to be October 2022. Should be about 22 months or so. Hopefully that's not too long again. If I don't write it down, I'm going to forget. And every time, like for us here, I wrote the wrong date here. Well, I guess I write down when I did change it. It was January 2021 and say that was too late. But just our hot water tank's easy to see every time I come and use the freezer. So, you know, I've got a water softener beside it. So, you know, it's a kind of a double check every so often. This tank we bought in October 2008. It is January 2021 right now, so it's a little bit older. So that does it for my little video here. Hoping to get a few more years out of it. I'm going to have to try and change this before that 22-month period. It seems that's about all I can get out of these anodes. But saves changing the tank, and you saw it only took, you know, what, 8-10 minutes tops versus how long to switch the tank over. If you like the video, why not give me the thumbs up? Tell your friends. You can subscribe in the corner if you haven't already. I've got other videos too, mostly on car repairs. If you're into that kind of thing or want to start learning a couple things, why not come along for the ride? Until next time, you and your family stay safe. Bye-bye from Uncle Mark. Remember to be safe. Your safety is your responsibility and should be priority number one. Also, give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Plus, please subscribe and you'll get all the notifications. It's easy. The little dog will show you how. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Let's try and test a little bit. What's it sound like here? And hopefully 1, 2, 3.